Welcome to this YouTube video. My name is Grant James from leadppc.com, and today we're going to talk about how to get franchise leads. So I'm basically going to review an article and kind of give some more commentary that I wrote about franchise development lead generation. So first thing to know about generating franchise leads is that franchise leads are unique. They're very different from other types of leads. Little background on us, we work with about 70 different franchise brands. We also do some other markets. We do about 100 different dental offices, about 10 law firms, some software as a service companies. But we stay pretty specific, and part of the reason behind that is because each industry is different, and franchising is very unique because you're looking for an investor. The leads can be cheap, but you have to sift through a lot of them, and so it's not necessarily cheap to acquire a new franchisee. Period. I think if you buy leads through a broker, it's probably around $22,000 on average. Our average cost per sale ranges between about $4,000 up to around $14,000. Depending on the franchise and how good they are at closing deals and stuff like that. And it's also important to note that within franchising, there's lots of different sub-niche markets. So, you have a pest control franchise, or you have a salon suite franchise, or a frozen yogurt franchise, or all these different types of franchises, because almost anything can be franchised. So, when you get into franchising, whatever mediums you try to drive leads from, make sure you're working with people that know what they're talking about and don't just do like general marketing or general advertising because they don't know franchising. It's very different. Personally, I used to work for a franchisor. I was a chief marketing officer years ago, and several of my account managers came from the franchising space, and we like to kind of keep things close to home there because it's just, if you don't know franchising, it's hard to learn it. So a couple critical questions to ask yourself when you're thinking about generating leads. Where do you want for your new locations to be? So one thing that's nice about portals, franchise portals, or paid advertising, whether it's Google ads, Facebook ads, things like that, is you can be very specific. But also understand if you get too specific, then you lose out on opportunities, and those leads can be more and more expensive. As you're saying, I only want someone who's interested in like this 5-mile radius is very different from, maybe a state, or maybe a DMA, just like a city area, something like that. So you definitely don't want to advertise in places that you can't logistically implement a franchise. So if you're only East Coast and you can only operate East Coast, like don't spend your money advertising in California or Arizona or something like that. So here are some common places that people drive leads. And again, this is pretty high level, basic stuff, but some people don't know it, so kind of wanted to touch on it. Existing customers are a great place. It's not super scalable, but as you do grow more and more units, as you have 50 units instead of 5 units, you're going to get more of that. And so make sure you have a way for people to inquire, and a lot of times that's just grassroots stuff. It's just having something on your website that says like, learn more about our franchise, or even like Papa John's, if you're ordering a pizza, they have something about that there. Just giving the opportunity for a customer, whether it's something in their window or whatever, to like think through that hey, we're looking for franchisees. Trade shows, this is a pretty tried and true way back in the day that a lot of new franchises were sold. I would say this one is going down, being replaced more with online mediums. A ton of franchises, over half the franchises that are sold now, are sold from the internet. So that's going to be Google ads, Facebook ads, and portals. So those should be in your mix somewhere. If you go with the paid route for paid, Google clicks or Facebook clicks, make sure you work with someone who knows how to drive leads for cheap. Regardless of what you do, you don't really want to be paying over like, $50 or $60 a lead. Closer to 20 to 30 is even better. But when you get into $300, $400 a lead, like that's not going to work, because you're going to need to close, maybe 0.5% to 4% of all your leads are going to close into a franchisee. So that's 1 out of 25 to 1 out of 200. So make sure that you can account for that, because if it's $200 a lead and it takes you 200 leads is $40,000 and your franchise fee is $30,000, like, not gonna work. Franchise portals, I have another article here that lists a bunch of the top ones, and it is called 24 franchise, let's see, okay, so top 24 franchise lead generation things, sites. So that's going to be Franchise Gator, Franchise Direct, America's Best Franchises, Entrepreneur.com, Biz Buy Sell Franchising, Global IBX, Franchise Grade. They all kind of have their own different ways of operating. I did include some other groups that do more like what we do, because we don't have massive sites, but we drive a lot, right? So, and we've managed $6 million in ads for franchises, but we're like largely unknown. And some other groups, these are some of our competitors or partners or what have you. But those are good to know about. So let's see. Lastly, franchise brokers can be a good way to go. That's stuff like the Entrepreneur Source, FranSurf, FranNet. There's lots of different groups out there. Understand it's going to be expensive, $20K plus to get a franchisee, but if you find the right partner, you can scale pretty good there too, because when something's hot, franchise brokers like to sell it because they're getting good commissions off of it. If you have any questions about franchise development, lead generation, feel free to reach out. If you just want to like talk or chat or whatever, love to hear some of your thoughts on things, or yeah, anyway, but thanks for watching the video. Hopefully we'll talk to you soon.